Most firms survive, the best ones scale. Welcome to the Managing Partners Podcast, where law firm leaders learn to think bigger. I'm Kevin Daisey. Let's jump in. What's up, my Managing Partners family? Happy to be here recording again today. Thank you for tuning in, as always, to listen to what I have to say and listen to what my guests have to say. Always trying to find some cool folks to come on and share some different stuff. We cover a lot on this podcast. Today, I'll start by saying something I just heard from my guest here, which I liked, which is drama reduction. Is that what you call it?
That's
We're
right.
looking at
That's right.
Yeah, drama reduction. So I got Uma on the show here. She specializes in business law, and she's going to really tell us a lot about things that we should be thinking about as business owners, as business leaders, things that we need to put in place. And we're talking about, I told her the boring things, and she said drama reduction, and some of the things that you do that are the boring things that have to be done can really help protect you and help you avoid those moments of drama, issues, things like that. So excited to kind of get into that. You'll kind of learn more about what we're going to be talking about. But Uma, thank you so much for joining me, and tell us a little bit more about yourself and your firm.
Sure. I'd be delighted to. So I'm the managing partner of the Oracle Legal Group. We pride ourselves on kind of being that one place that businesses can come to and get their legal services met. We specialize in the areas that you'd find businesses typically need. So employment, IP, contracts. We also have a little bit of a niche in healthcare. So we do a bit of healthcare as well. But typically, we try to do that universe of services you'll see a business typically need. We've been operating for more than 10 years, and it's been a wild ride. It really has.
And you're just outside of Houston, Texas, correct?
That's right. So we have offices in Chicago and Houston, and I happen to be in the Houston location.
Excellent. That's awesome. So, and I believe when we talked before, you were in Chicago originally. Is that how that worked out?
Originally, that's right. Originally was in Chicago, then transferred over to Houston, opened an office there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been to Chicago once, had a good time. Great place. I've not been to Houston. I've been to Austin for a couple of days before, but I guess I need to make a Texas trip at some point.
Yeah, we have a rodeo and we have a Renaissance fair the Renaissance fair is pretty interesting. So if you're into, throwing a spear or shooting a bow and arrow.
Or drinking beer, probably. Sure, that's happening there too. No, I love it. Well, I wanted to kind of set the stage when we met a few weeks ago to talk, just to get to know each other. And she was telling me an interesting story. And I thought, and I had a similar story that I've heard recently that my wife has encountered with her business. She's in recruiting, but tell us the story of what happened with one of your clients, and we'll kind of transition into some of the things that you need to do as a business, as a law firm business, to avoid some of these things.
Sure. I think when I started the law firm, I didn't expect businesses to have so many twists and turns and so many interesting things occur. One of my, one of my early clients, I remember I was on vacation and I get a call saying, and this was just a normal young psychiatry practice. We were just doing their general business work. So this was not like we were doing anything, spectacularly unusual. But I get a call from him and he says, hey, the DEA is raiding our office. And it turns out that one of the psychiatrists working in the office is actually not a psychiatrist. He is a layperson who has found a way to present his credentials by utilizing another physician's MPI number and has been treating patients for, at that point, almost a year. And amazingly enough, he had 5-star ratings. These patients loved him. So obviously, as a business owner, though, this is a huge disaster because you have a HIPAA violation issue. We had to tackle that issue. That's the very first issue we had to manage. The expectation of patients, you have to call each one, you have to explain what happened. It's devastating for them to find out that the person that they trusted the most and was potentially given medications for their conditions was not an actual doctor. And so it was just this crazy evolving target. And then there was, of course, there's going to be civil lawsuits that come from the patients. And it was just a whole battalion of things that, early when we started practicing as a firm, it just was such a clear example of, hey, some of that boring initial stuff, doing the correct hiring practice, doing the background check, doing this, doing that is so critical for a business to avoid the drama
Avoid the
later on.
drama. Drama
Yeah.
reduction.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, I hear this a lot from things I've listened to or read or my business partner, like the boring stuff, the not fun stuff, the not sexy stuff. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially the visionary entrepreneurs, we don't want to do any of that stuff, and you want to skip those things or maybe put it aside. And this goes for law firm owners, right? Things that you have to do to be able to grow your firm, scale your firm, like having those things in place, like employment agreements, handbooks. Yeah, I know you mentioned that that's something you all help with. We just had a meeting the other day. We were reviewing updated handbooks for 2 positions. I'd rather do anything but that, straight up. That's why my business partner is the opposite of me. He probably actually likes making sure that that's all right.
Right.
So it's just something to think about is, you might own a law firm, you're a lawyer, you're not a business owner, but are you putting these things in place? Are you doing the fundamental?
Right.
So, I guess tell us, from like a perspective of, how you're helping some of these clients and some of the things that you see that
Sure.
maybe they've been in business for 10 years and they don't have these things in place. What's some common things that you see as issues that some of the listeners could say, oh, I don't have that, or I need to handle that, or I need to do that. Just like having a will or a trust.
Yeah.
You know you need it,
Absolutely.
but you might not have it. Thank you for tuning into the show today. I have taken things to the next level, and I've started the Managing Partners Mastermind. We're a peer group of owners looking for connection, clarity, and growth strategies. So if you're looking to grow your law firm and not do it alone, please consider joining the group. Spots are limited, so I ask for anyone to reach out to me directly through LinkedIn, and we can set up a one-on-one call to make sure it's a fit. Now back to the show.
That's right. I would say that one of the really core documents that we see and we think is so critical and sometimes gets overlooked. They form the company, but they don't follow up with an operating agreement. Now, this may not seem like an important document on its face, but it is critical. It's almost like the constitution of the business. We're talking about how the voting is happening, who's voting on what, what's a major decision, what happens when the business is sold? What if you're at a stalemate? You typically need a buy-sell provision. What happens if someone gets divorced? What happens like to their shares? Is their partner going to own those shares? Are they going to participate in the business? What happens upon the death of a partner? And you'd be amazed that having just the conversation with your partner is incredibly clarifying. So when these business owners are sort of forced to, because we send them a list of questions, we meet with them, when they're kind of talking to each other, we can hear a lot of aha moments, a lot of moments where like, oh, I didn't realize I was actually responsible for that, or I didn't realize this is how you felt about this. So when they're starting their business, just having those conversations, putting it on paper, forces them to talk about things. It's in a sense, a business partnership is a type of marriage, and it's important to have very clear communication. And I think somewhere along the way, these core conversations don't occur until they're forced to happen. And when they're forced to happen, it's good for the business. It's healthy for the partnership. And it really reduces the number of disputes later on. And when there is a partner dispute at an operating agreement, it is quite difficult.
No, it's there's a lot of things there to unpack. I think one, I call my business partner my second wife. So yeah, it's definitely like a marriage. And I think, starting, and I'm talking to a few attorneys right now that are about to start their new firm. They haven't even done it yet. And so I think when you're starting a business, it's just exciting to start the business, and you might be the only owner solo.
Yeah.
And so you're not thinking about these things. You're thinking about the excitement of starting.
Yes.
And it's just like if you had a product idea, getting a trademark or a copyright or a patent seems like, well, let's just see if this product's going to work first. And then you don't do those things. You have to do those things in the beginning or you're not going to have any protection. So same things with business. It's kind of bootstrapped. So you're not even sure if it's going to work. So why do all these things? But once it starts to get speed and steam and you have partnerships and all these things, it's really hard to go back and um, start to put these things in change or make changes.
Yeah, I mean, especially to have an ongoing partnership. You guys have already come into specific habits. You
Hmm.
already have probably points of resistance and dispute. And so I think, yes, I agree. You're a startup. You don't have a ton of money. You have to allocate, say 5,000 for some of these beginning items. But in the long run, you will be saving so much money in problems and time, your valuable time. So I have empathy for these startups. We try to create startup packages so it's not as expensive so they can do these things. But I've just seen the whole length of the process. I've seen the businesses that do it and how they're running today, and I've seen the businesses that don't do it and the conflicts that we have to manage after the fact.
Yeah, I know that. Me and my partner were together. We had a basic operating agreement. And over time, over the years, we have buy sell agreements. We have life insurance plans. So yeah, if I die, does my wife take over?
Yeah,
No, not in our case because we have a life insurance plan that would be the shares go to my partner and the life insurance would go to my wife, and then vice versa. If my partner has
interesting.
his wife doesn't take over the company shares,
Hmm.
I get those. She gets the payout. Those are all things again that over the years I've learned,
Yeah,
and we have in place. But it's taken years and years and years. I've been in business since
yeah.
2006. So it's if you can go, do some of these things early on before things become too complicated,
Hmm.
before you get too much success, I mean, it's going to
Yeah,
be a lot easier on you. That's for sure.
for sure. For sure. I agree. I agree. I've also seen this with employment issues. We have a ton of businesses that have a lot of employment issues. And had they had the employment handbook in place and an employment agreement, the employee would not have even had an a case to bring to them. Like it would have simmered right at the beginning. An attorney wouldn't have been able to even bring a case to the company. But because they're missing these very core documents, they're missing the personnel file, and they're missing all the core communications, there's a big opening for a lawsuit.
And now I feel like these days it's pretty easy for folks to want to come after you,
Yeah, yeah,
for whatever reasons, if they, feel like they can't get another job or they were
right.
treated unfairly or whatever. So yeah, having that employee handbook, we have one and we update it pretty often. And then we have individual positions have a handbook. We have an overall company handbook, and then we
Mhm,
have individual position handbooks.
mhm,
And again, we're just reviewing two that were just updated because they are not stagnant. They sometimes things change,
right.
how we do things change, how we pay people or reward them changes, what we expect from them might change. So you got
Mhm,
to review those with them, and then they have to
right.
sign off on those.
Right. Right. And they can't say they don't know what the company culture is because it's all written down. This is what sometimes you don't always want to communicate every single policy to an employee, but it's all there in the handbook, and you're giving it to them on a regular basis. They can review it, they can understand what it is. So it helps also keep the line on the culture.
100%. We have our core
Yeah.
values in there. We have
Yeah.
our origin story and how me and my partner met and our two previous companies and how we formed what we have
Hmm.
now. I don't know what all you recommend. I'd like to hear whatever else, but I know for us, we have all those things in there, and then down to like
Yeah.
what holidays that you get off automatically versus if you want to take off anything else, just take it off.
Right.
So we have a lot of that kind of stuff in there, like freelancing. You know, what can you do? What can't you do?
Right.
And so,
And you don't always have to figure. So I think sometimes people get scared when they have to create a handbook. They're like, I don't know, I'm not sure what we do here. Just make the handbook, and you'd be surprised. Automatically, you're going to figure it out. You're going to automatically figure out what the rules should be and shouldn't be, and you don't have to have all the answers at one go. It's an iterative process. You can keep updating it, but you can have a based, I mean, things for sure. You don't discriminate. Some basic things. You have to be professional. These are things that everybody sort of has an understanding. So you can put the basics in there, and then you can pepper in the details later.
yeah, just jot down whatever you're kind of thinking and how you.
Yeah,
If you're a solo, I would encourage you to come up with core values, come up with these things, put together a handbook as if you have employees. If you have
yeah,
zero, Great exercise. You'll be way ahead. And again, I think back when I was either solo or starting out with a few people, core values, I was like, that's just fluffy crap. We don't need that. And we live, I mean, when I say live by the core values, it's literally weaved into everything, every day, all day, used actively.
Hmm.
And I think most firms don't do that. It's still
Yeah.
kind of on the wall, maybe somewhere. Maybe it's in the handbook. Maybe it's on the website. Could your employees recite them? Probably not. So I think, think about that. And our core values, we've changed them a bunch of times. They've
Hmm.
been pretty set for the last 4 or 5 years. We have not changed them at all. So I think, to your point, it's not going to be
Yeah.
perfect. Jot it down, get stuff in there. You're
Okay.
going to change it. You should change it, and it should get better over time. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's that initial inertia that people have that you just have to get over that inertia and get the ball moving, and it's going to move by itself. Gravity. It's going to move.
And the funny thing is that a lot of those things are I consider boring. We talked about boring stuff that you have to do. That's most businesses that are successful handle the boring stuff, or they even provide a boring service. Like just a lot of people make money in boring. But just like I used to hate numbers and spreadsheets and all that stuff, I love all that stuff much more now because when you can see things working and you can see the impact it has, you say, "Oh, this is actually cool to understand why we have
Yeah.
this and how we can improve on this and how this stuff all works out, even with finance or cash flow and those things I used to not
Hmm.
really, that's not me. I'm a visionary guy. I'm the creative guy.
Hmm.
But I like those things a lot more these days because again, you can see how they actually go to work and how they protect you or how they encourage new employees when they come
That's
on
right.
board, when they see the handbook, when they see the culture and they go,
Right.
"Ooh, I want to be here." And that's another thing I think to think about too is you're onboarding a new staff member, new attorney,
Right.
new paralegal. What's their
Right.
experience like? How well planned out have you made it for them to where they're like, "Wow, this place is different than the last firm I was at."
Sure. Sure. So I think, we break it up into three processes, the hiring process, well, actually, even before the hiring process, the interview process, because there's certain questions you can and cannot ask. It's good to know that as a business owner. Hiring, that whole hiring process, also making sure you're doing the background checks, you're doing the due diligence you need to, and then you've actually hired them. Then there's the discipline piece. So I usually encourage companies to have a discipline policy that they're following. And I know nobody likes to write down, hey, this person did this. But if there's an objection later, if they're suing later, it's good to have something in writing. And then finally, even the termination process. So all of those are different processes within the company, and they don't necessarily all have to be in the handbook, but it's good to have these policies.
And we have all this and that you just mentioned. And yeah, if you hear anyone talk about growing a business, like processes are a big part
Yes.
of any growth and
Yes.
scale. Like you
And
can't grow and
I kind
scale.
of, yes, I agree. And sometimes I kind of wonder if what's going on and why people don't want to lay these things down. Maybe there's a subconscious avoidance of these difficult areas that are uncomfortable, and sometimes if your attorney is telling you, hey, this is important, it's forcing you to come to the table and confront some of your anxiety around these topics.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to lay someone off or fire them or whatever, but
Yeah,
it's a lot.
right.
I can tell you this, and I'm one of those. I'm one of those. I'm terrible at having to fire someone.
Yeah,
Literally, I'm the worst. But guess where it's easy for me when I've had to do it when it's clear,
yeah,
tracked,
yeah,
um, information's been collected,
yeah,
things have been given, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, we followed the steps, we followed the path. You're aware, I'm aware, it's clear. We have to act on this. And it's easier for them and you versus like,
yes.
hey, I got to let you go. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, and you've been just
Right. You've been best
aware, but
buddies.
not reporting and
been
not,
you've
yeah.
been hanging out, best buddies, having communicated to them that you're unhappy about something. You're giving this employee the wrong messaging, and then you're firing them, which is traumatizing for them. So you've not even prepared them, and you've not even put them in the right spot to understand what's going on.
And it's harder for you as the person firing
Yeah.
them because you haven't told them or that
Yeah.
you don't know how to even do it because you're like it's an abrupt kind of thing that you have to do. But it's really easy and a quick conversation, usually easy conversation when it's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Uma, you know what today is? We've done
Yeah.
this process and And they're not surprised. And they're like, yeah,
They're not surprised. That's right. And the ones that, you've had the conversation and they've been able to turn around their behavior, that's also a benefit, right? You've just saved an employee. They've understood very clearly what's going on. And now they can change their behavior. They understand the expectation and bam, you've got a super effective employee. I love when that happens. I mean, I know it's probably more rare, but it is.
it is more rare, but man, we had that happen here with a long-term employee of mine that I'm glad is here and crushing it. But there was, definitely a fork in the road moment of, I even talked to this person and said, hey, I'd rather you not be here than trying to be stressed out and figure this out. Because I wasn't managing the person at the time. And so I was trying not to, overstep there. One of my managers was managing them. But I was like, yeah, I'd rather you go somewhere. I'll help you find somewhere to go. Like, I don't want you to be stressed out. But flipped it around, rock star, top team player that we have at this point, I would say. So yeah, I've seen that happen. But it's easy when you have the bus, right? You have the seats on the bus, right? The right seats on the bus. You can't just create a seat that we don't need. Yeah, it's if you lay it out and make it simple and clear, and
Hmm.
either they can transition because it's probably better for them to leave, or they can make the adjustments and become an A player. And you should be happy with either one. Hey, Uma, I would be
Yes.
happy, to see you go out there and find something that's better for you. And this is a good decision for you, and coach them out, not, either coach them up or out, right? So makes it a lot easier. I'll say
I've
that.
actually met attorneys or law clerks in my practice that I don't even think they really enjoyed practicing the law. And that's just not their calling in life. And that's okay. They're so talented in other ways, but the law was not interesting to them. And if it is not interesting, you probably shouldn't be doing it. And so sometimes they're not even aware of what's going on. They're just not able to engage in the work. And you have to say, hey, is this what you're really passionate about?
Sure. Yeah. Just because
Yeah.
you went to school
Yeah.
for something, doesn't mean
Yeah.
that was the right choice for you. And well, it's just like I know a lot of lawyers that don't like practicing law, but they
Yeah.
like running a business.
Sure.
Great. Be the
Do
CEO, be
that.
the business
Yeah.
owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to be stuck in the middle somewhere, I tell
Ugh,
lawyers all the time,
it's
make a
awful.
decision. Are you the lawyer and you want to be a best lawyer? Then hire a C-suite or get a
Mm-hmm.
partner that wants to be the business owner,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. If you don't want to be practicing law, become the business owner. Make sure you hire lawyers that can do the legal work. And you can be in the middle. You can choose and pick cases that you love and
Mm-hmm.
still be the business owner. But I think having that coming to Jesus moment is important of
Absolutely.
where are you? And then you can focus on the work that you need to be doing. So yeah, I've had smart SEO kind of people go be like in construction, like
Mm-hmm.
just like, hey, I love I've enjoyed it. I'm good at this. But it's not what I want to do. I want to work with my hands. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's you never know what people want to do.
Yeah. And I think it's okay. I can tell you when I first started practicing as an attorney, I worked for big law firms. I worked for the DLA Pipers of the world, and I was a patent attorney. And my parents were so proud, and this is what the typical pathway is. And you know what? I was just not satisfied in life. And so it wasn't immediate for me to figure out my pathway as an attorney. I found people around me said, I'm not happy, but I'm going to keep doing this. And I just could not be that person. I couldn't be the person who was unhappy going to work. And so I had to try a bunch of different things. I did civil rights law. I went to India. I did some human rights work. I came back. And I think when I figured out what I really enjoyed, I said, you know what? I do want to open a firm. But that wasn't as like it wasn't and I think sometimes as lawyers we expect ourselves to know exactly what we should be doing from day one.
That's why I love
Yeah.
this podcast because the stories are all over the place.
Yeah.
I've had lawyers come on here and say, Grandma told me I was going to be a lawyer when I was 4, and so that's what I did, and through. Or my family, my dad, my grandfather, whoever
Mhm.
was attorneys. And then I've had tons of stories on here where it's like, I did not want to be an attorney at all. Like
Yeah.
in graduate school, they're finishing up and then some random thing happens.
Mhm.
Or a lot of times like an injury attorney, they'll have like a family member when they were younger had some experience or issue they had to deal with that didn't get resolved, or, some personal story that led them to whatever path. But a lot of times they come out of law school, go to work for their
Mhm.
county or prosecutor or whatever, and then go some other random direction and try a few different practices. And then they
Right.
bounce around and go, ooh, I like this.
This is
And this
it.
is what I'm going to do.
This is it. And
Yeah,
when it feels right, it's not hard to wake up every day and do it. When it doesn't feel right, there's always a part of you that's wondering.
100%. It's like, I've been in marketing I started my business in marketing in 2006, like, what's that, almost 20 years. I don't do any marketing really. I mean, I'm not passionate about marketing. So if you get on a
Yeah.
sales call with me, I'll talk about all this stuff, but it's the business that I'm passionate about.
Right.
The marketing is a part of it. And that's how
Right.
we help firms, but I
Hmm.
don't do any marketing. If you would not want to hire me to do anything, I wouldn't even have fun doing it. I wouldn't even enjoy it. So that's kind of similar. I was a technician that, you know,
Hmm.
fell in love with the business side of things. And I know plenty of attorneys that have done just that too. So, but if you like the business of things, what Uma's here talking about, there are things that you have to get in place, things you have
Right.
to do. And the sooner you
Right.
do them, the better. Again, if you have 0 employees, 1 employee, it's just good practice.
Right. Even independent contractors, we actually create a handbook for independent contractors. So, it doesn't just have to be employees. And if it's not that, there's other things in your business. For some businesses, it's going to be a master services agreement. If they're providing a service, they want to have a really robust agreement. For other businesses, it's going to be getting that trademark. So every business is different. What they need is a sort of core documents in the beginning. But I think it's worth taking a minute and doing a little bit of an internal audit. Hey, have I done it? Am I missing some things? Or talking to an attorney who can help you figure it out.
That's awesome. I think, yeah, just reach out to Uma, connect with her on maybe what some of those checklist items are, so you know what you do, don't have. Yeah, and this, if you're going into business, you're new or you're small, obviously don't overspend or over leverage yourself, but plan that you're going to be huge, that you're going to scale, have that mindset, put these things in place versus like, I don't know if this is going to work out or not. If you start that
Hmm.
way, trust me, it probably won't. So you have to change your mindset a little bit. Plan on being successful, which is why you would get a patent for something before trying to put it out into the world. That's why you would put these things in place before starting your new business or growing your new business. Those are all important things for sure. Uma, anything else that, any more tips or recommendations for any of our law firm owners out there?
Well, one thing I learned, which is sort of not exactly in vein of what we were immediately talking about, is that I found that reading various business books, because a law firm is a business, and getting the advice of people who really understand business, I think is so critical. It's been a real boon for me personally, and I wish I had done it earlier. I wish when I started my law firm, I was reading these books.
Well, I got a stack of books here. I recommend books all the time. And yeah, the answers are out there. People have already done this, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
books, and I've always hated reading a physical book. I just never been good at it, but I do that more often. Audiobooks, YouTube.
Audiobooks,
Yeah,
fine. It's just getting the perspective, getting the mind, like as you mentioned, Kevin, getting the right mindset. And it really takes the anxiety off too of running a business, because when you understand some of these concepts, you're going to feel less anxious.
yeah, you see that also other people have been through this. They've figured out, what worked for them. So yeah, there's so many books out there, so many resources out there. And I always mention this too, is mastermind groups. I have a mastermind group for law firm owners. Don't even consider mine. There's a million groups. There's probably one in your community. Entrepreneurs Organization is a global
Yes.
group that has chapters all around the country. It doesn't matter if it's only law firm owners. Just get in the room with people that are walking the same path as you, because it can be pretty
Yeah.
lonely to be the
Yeah.
entrepreneur in your family when everyone else
Hmm.
just works for someone and you're like, hey, what do I do about this situation? Just start talking to other owners of businesses, and it could be any kind of business, and you'll
Absolutely.
be shocked with the stories they could tell and things they could share. So,
We're
highly
all in this together, so we should support each other. And so many people smarter than us. I mean, I have a mentor myself, and he's been instrumental as well.
yeah, mentors, coaches, and that's the only shortcut to business in my mind. What's the secret? What's the shortcut? Masterminds, books, and talking to other people, putting yourself out there. So, well, Uma, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I love everything we're talking about. We know the secret now. Read, join groups, talk to others, hire a law firm, business law firm to help you get some of these things in place. And Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the journey, not the outcome, right? So enjoy the path. What's the best way for folks to reach out, connect with you? Excellent. What is your website address for those listening in their car or oraclelegalgroup.com? Excellent. Well, go check her out there. I'm sure you can also find her on LinkedIn and other social medias. Go follow her. And if not, let me know and I'll make the connection if you need any help. So, Ruma, thanks so much for covering some of the basics and the boring stuff that we need to have in place as business owners. So, a pleasure. Yep, absolutely. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon on the next episode. Bye.